Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Welcome back. Week 14 on FanDuel, and I've got a first look for you. Every single week, I do two first look videos. The DraftKings first look, where we take more of a cash game approach, and the FanDuel first look, where we take more of a tournament-based approach with more correlation, a stack, a bring back player, meaning a player on the opposing team of my quarterback pass catcher stack, and then try to include some sort of secondary stack in that to give us more correlation in that lineup to not have to really hit the 9-team parlay that you have to do if you're just avoiding any sort of correlation. It's much easier to be right about one thing than 3 or 4. It's much easier to be right about 2 things than 6 individual things. So that is why we're going to correlate our lineups, try and find some push and pull, where if the game that we stack around goes for a lot of points, all of a sudden you're going to capture all the fantasy goodness that is involved in that game. Hopefully you want games that are going to have high touchdown upside, offenses that can do what the opponent can't really stop from a DVP, a defense versus position perspective, and really try and capture as much upside as we can and eschew the floor. Cash games, you want to get floor. You want to, in your head-to-heads, your 50-50s, you want to get as much points per dollar as you can possibly stuff in there. You want to get the best values in there. For tournaments, you want to be focused more on how much is a player going to be played. What percent chance do they have of getting you 20, 25 points in a weekend in fantasy points versus what is their percent number going to be in that tournament? You don't have to fade everybody that's high played. You want to look more at a cumulative percentage for that entire lineup. Thank you guys for being here once again. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, leave a reply, and if you would like, electively, you can click that join button, become a channel member, and then get on over to Discord. There's a link down below. Anybody can join our Discord. It's totally free. But if you wanted to become a channel member for that $5 a month on YouTube, you get some great emotes. You get a VIP badge that will grow with you over time the longer you are subscribed or a channel member here on YouTube. And you'll get access to the subscriber-only VIP rooms in our Discord, where you can surround yourself with people who are trying to improve their DFS game every day. It can be a very isolating game, DFS. You're probably the only one of your friend group who plays it. We've got a built-in community, 5,000 strong in Discord, to give you people that you can talk to every single day about any sport that's going on. Golf, MLB, NBA, with it kicking off tipping off in just 2 weeks. So find yourself over to Discord, and if you're a channel member, make sure that you use the things in the instruction folder to link your Discord to YouTube so you get access to all those great VIP member rooms. But for now, let's jump on over to you. Oh, I clicked FanDuel. It's so bright. Why? Why are you so bright? I don't even need like studio lights to do this video. I just need. Thank you, Dark Mode. Frostbite gifting a sub to Dark Mode. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. God damn it. Let's take a look at the quarterbacks on this slate. From a tournament perspective, Aaron Rodgers has been fantastic. However, I don't know that you need to use Aaron Rodgers as a stack unless you're not going to stack him with Davante Adams. Davante Adams is fine to play as a one-off or as a secondary stack. You don't need to use Aaron Rodgers for Davante Adams to have a really big day. 29 fantasy points, 20, 28, 26, 38, 34. And on those weeks, yeah, Aaron Rodgers does have very good weeks, but like they're not tournament winning weeks. He's got 1 week this year where he scored 30 FanDuel points at quarterback. You can get the guy who kind of breaks the slate without having to have Aaron Rodgers. If you're going to pay up to get Aaron Rodgers, I don't want just Aaron Rodgers with Davante Adams. I want Aaron Rodgers with either Adams and somebody else. I want Rodgers with contrarian stacks where you fade Davante Adams and go with 2 other guys at lower price, where if they pay off on their salary and then you use that money from Davante Adams to pay for another superstar player that might come in with a lower percentage. I don't think that you need Aaron Rodgers in your lineup to unlock Davante Adams. So when we talk about stacks, I've said this before, I'm using quarterbacks to get to different wide receivers or combinations of different wide receivers to differentiate my lineup versus everybody else. So most wide receivers, if they have a massive day, their quarterback also has a really big day. But once you get up to these high price guys, Patrick Mahomes, love Patrick Mahomes stacks because, again, You're talking about 36, 40-point ceiling for him. You can pair him to pay up to be contrarian. If you were to plug Mahomes, Tyreek, Travis Kelsey, you're going to have to find so much value in this lineup that it's kind of restrictive for other people to play that stack. Now, against Miami, is that really the route that you want to go? They're a very tough defense. You're probably going to go with a single stack there. Totally get it. I'm just saying Mahomes to his pass catcher has always been a really good stack, and you get two chances to kind of break the slate, because if that pass catcher has a big day, it's also likely that Mahomes has himself a big day. Kyler Murray has been the enigma for the last 3 weeks, dealing with that AC sprain, and hopefully you guys have listened and we've been all over it. Kyler Murray is not a tournament winning quarterback with his arm. He isn't. He is a tournament winning quarterback because of what he was doing early this season with his legs. With that AC joint sprain in his shoulder, they are not letting him run the ball as much as they did before. And when he runs it, he's getting down. So the big playability, the touchdown upside when they get close to the goal line, it's no shock that once Kyler Murray has dealt with this injury for the last 3 weeks, that Kenyon Drake all of a sudden is scoring a lot more touchdowns. Right? Those two things work together. So Kyler Murray was taking away touchdowns from Kenyon Drake. Now that they are not willing to risk him at this point in the season, you don't have that floor of rushing yards, especially on FanDuel, where it's extremely important because you don't have the bonuses that you would get on DraftKings. You have to get that 6.1, that 10.6, 7.4, 7.8 points. 1.5, 3.1, and 1.5 is just not enough, especially in comparison to other players that are around him who have better arm talent or better ability to do things through the air, like Deshaun Watson, who has a very similar rushing floor right now in terms of yardage and a better upside. But I'm going to go with this. Just like we've been doing, we want to target specific things in tournaments, and I want to target teams that can't stop opposing quarterbacks. We've seen the upside. We know it's there with Ryan Tannehill. We know that if Derrick Henry has a massive game, that's usually going to take away from what Ryan Tannehill can do. So if Derrick Henry has 150 yards and 2 touchdowns and both of them come on the ground, Ryan Tannehill probably not having a really, really massive day. Against Indy, 19 points, 14 against Chicago, but they're a really tough defense. Against Cincinnati, 18 points. So the possibility for the low floor is here, but the massive upside that we can get with a 25 to 30 point game out of him for way less than you have to pay for the top guys and still have access to the stacks. Let's look at what we can do in terms of a stack and a bring back here. Clearly, AJ Brown is an absolute stud. If you want to go with him in this lineup, I'm totally okay with that. We know what the upside is. One of the best yards after catch receivers in his first few years of all time. But for the same target percentage that we've seen recently, I can pay $1,200 less for the last month of targets and get Corey Davis, who's been extremely good. Granted, if you think that this is chasing and you want to go with AJ Brown because you think too many people are going on jumping on Corey Davis, that's fine. I'm going to play multiple stacks this week of Ryan Tannehill, and some are probably going to have Corey Davis, some are going to have AJ Brown, some are going to have both. But for the sake of this lineup, we're going to go with Corey Davis. We need a bring back player here from the other side, and I'm not thrilled at all with the quarterback situation on Jacksonville. So these wide receivers are kind of really, really risky. Chark, clearly the best talent-wise, but isn't getting the usage or scoring touchdowns at the rate that we would want him to. Same thing goes for Laviska. Laviska was the play. Okay, he caught a touchdown on 3 targets, and the touchdown was a tipped pass off of the intended receiver that was not him. So he got extremely lucky last week. So, yes, they're all going to have a low percentage in tournaments, but you don't need to go for that, because at 8K, James Robinson, win or lose, is getting 5-6 targets a week, is getting enough yardage per game, 100 plus basically every single week. That's 10 points. Half point PPR if he gets 5 catches, that's 12.5, plus the possibility of touchdowns. for 8K here as a bring back play. It doesn't matter if they're winning. It doesn't matter if they're losing. He's getting all of the inside the 5 carries. Great usage in the passing game. Wraps up this 3-player stack pretty well. And then allows me to look at another running back who I think is still too cheap this week on FanDuel. DraftKings boosted his price a bunch. He had one of the 2 best matchups in terms of running back versus position last week and smashed it. And now he gets Houston, who's just another great running back matchup. So Green Bay, a team we've been streaming running backs against, 22.8 FanDuel points for David Montgomery. Week 13 against Detroit, 25.1 FanDuel points. He's got 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games, but he's doing it on volume very, very well. 21 touches last week. 111 total yards. So without the touchdowns, he still had 13 points in this game for 6.6K. In cash games on FanDuel, you want like 2x the salary. If you get 2x your salary on FanDuel in cash games, you're pretty much there. You want guys that have inside the 5 carries. We talk about 5-box running backs all the time. Guys who are included in the passing game, guys who have touchdown upside, playing at home, favored, and expectation of 20 touches. But the upside, right? The floor expectations there are the guys who are getting 20 touches and inclusion in the passing game, right? That's the floor. The ceiling possibility is those touchdown numbers. So like all those inside the 5 carries that David Montgomery gets, especially against a team that is pretty leaky against running backs, I'll take David Montgomery here and I'll look for a bring back player in that same game. So we're going to use our secondary stack here with a running back wide receiver stack to give us a little bit of variation and differentiation. There's a couple of guys here, obviously Brandon Cooks being the lead dog at this point in this offense, but there's just no wide receivers to speak of. So Brandon Cooks being at 6,900 is certainly playable and could get there on volume. Definitely has touchdown upside, but Kiki Kuti stays down at 5,600. What even is a Kiki Kuti? He's a guy right now in Houston that gets 9 targets a game because there's literally nobody else to throw the ball to. So at 5,600, you could take away that 76-yard catch that he had, and it's still a very solid day versus salary. There were a couple of red zone targets that missed him. There is touchdown upside here at 5,600 as a secondary stack. I love this, and now we can fill out the rest of the lineup. I'm just going to allot like 4K for a defense, okay? Somewhere around that range, and I'm going to play with the rest of the lineup as we will. Now, I'd love to be able, and I think we can if we really wanted to go with another punt, either a value running back or a punt, to get to Travis Kelsey here because of how dominant he's been at the position. And I think that the price on FanDuel is going to keep people a little bit further away considering a couple of things. One, Darren Waller still really, really good. Coming off of the biggest tight end game in 18 years. I'm not expecting 38.5 FanDuel points again. I'm gonna go really far out on this limb right here. That here's the limb, here's me. Not really trekking far out here. That he's not gonna have 38 points again. However, the 15-point to 20-point possibility here is extremely high. There are other plays on FanDuel. It's really condensed, right? You got guys like Gronk at 62, Hawkinson. A lot of the tight end plays fall between 5,400 to 6,200. But I think that we can get more by spending that extra 900 on Darren Waller as a one-off play. Looking at another one-off play at wide receiver in the mid 6,000s, Robbie Anderson against Denver. I like this spot considering where we're at this week with Carolina. 17 points last game. Should see a good amount of volume here in this spot. We'll plug in that 4K defense just so you guys can see. Doesn't have to be Denver. I know I have a Denver player in there. Fine. Them. And then our flex spot, that leaves us 7,600. So we can actually get a really solid flex play here. If you wanted to build in another stack, you can. I'm fine with that. If you wanted to go up to Julio Jones here, great. And you could bring it back with a Chargers player. Austin Eckler is in a great bounce back spot as far as I'm concerned. I'm not worried about the egg that they laid on the field in week 13 getting completely trampled by the New England Patriots. I'm hoping that will hold down Austin Eckler at his price point on FanDuel. On DraftKings with full PPR, people are really going to chase Austin Eckler, and they should. The price is just too good. The talent is there, and the usage is extremely solid with 9 targets in that game where they got completely throttled. 12 to 15 carries, 7 to 9 targets on the expectation, and the majority of the inside the 5 carries. I'm going to take Austin Eckler against Atlanta, who's a team that we have really targeted a lot. If you wanted to go for extra correlation in this lineup, not that difficult to get to. Go with a cheaper tight end, and then find one of Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley to plug in here instead of Waller, and then go with a really cheap tight end, and that gets you that third correlated play in that lineup. So Tannehill, James Robinson, David Montgomery, Corey Davis, Kiki Kuti. What even is a Kiki Kuti? Robbie Anderson, Darren Waller, Austin Eckler, and whatever defense you wanted to plug. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you later. Look for another video right there.
He's a legend.